Keepers nervous, strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Victor James Osimhen is a world-class striker. There's no doubt about that. He scored 170 career goals, 76 for Napoli, 26 for Nigeria. He scored 30 for Galatasaray, 18 for Lille, and he scored 20 while at Charleroi in Belgium. Now, why despite all these goals, why despite the fact that he's proven at every club he's been, at every team he's played for, including the Nigerian national team, including the Nigerian Super Eagles, people always criticize Victor Osimhen. People attack Victor Osimhen. When he was to be signed by Chelsea, at least when they had those links, those rumors, were making the rounds that Chelsea were interested in signing Victor Osimhen, the whole talk was he was not good enough. He was not. He only scored 20 goals in a season once, and that's been proven to be false. So I'm trying to paint him as a one-season wonder. When Chelsea made a laughable wage offer to him for a striker of his caliber, people called him greedy. People called him selfish. People said he was too arrogant for demanding to be paid what he earned at that time for Napoli. Now, in the past few days, probably you must have seen the clips on X, maybe you've seen it on Sky Sports, maybe you saw it on other platforms as well. There was someone, I don't even really care to know his name, was on Sky Sports Football, one program they were having with this Saturday Social, or one of those programs on Sky Sports. He came on there to say, comparing Victor Osimhen and Hugo Ekitike, a French striker that plays for Frankfurt. Now, he said Hugo Ekitike essentially was a better striker than Victor Osimhen, that he creates more chances for himself and his teammates than Victor Osimhen. He presses more than Victor Osimhen, and that the only thing that Victor Osimhen is good for is finishing. Now, if it was just targeted at Victor Osimhen alone, it would still be very bad. But what I want to tell you there, football fans out there, Nigerian football fans out there, this type of talk, this sort of narrative is not just about Victor Osimhen. It's about the entire Nigerian football, family, community. It's about the entire African football community. Because we all know it. You watch Victor Osimhen play, you see him give his all, you see him press, you see him create goals for his teammates. You see him fight every day on the pitch, battling with defenders, leading the line for his team, sacrificing himself and his body. If you watch the game versus Cameroon, you would see him. You would remember how he fought in that game. He didn't score in that game. He came up with the assist for Ademola Lookman, but you could see his pressing. You could see the intensity with which he played. If you watch him at Napoli, you would see him play. You would have seen how he played for Napoli, the intensity with which he played. How he sacrificed himself to score goals, sacrificed himself to create chances for his teammates. But you still get this sort of narrative. Now, there are multiple reasons why this sort of narrative exists. One is that in the ranking of players, you may not agree with me, but this is very true. This is how it ranks. If you're a white player, you play for a predominantly white country, this is where you are. If you're a black player, play for a predominantly white country, this is where you are. But if you're a black player, you play for a predominantly black country, this is where you are. That's not how it should be, but that is how people have made it out to be. That is why you hear the likes of Jimmy Carragher come out and waffle and say silly things. People, when it comes to African players, sports journalists, pundits, and the likes, they don't even bother to do any research. They just come and spew out anything that comes out of their mouth. If Victor Osimhen was an English player, definitely he would have been a 120, 130 million pound player already. Already, 100% he would have been. So, no matter what Victor Osimhen is doing, you can see the evidence with your eyes, but people will still want to criticize. People in mainstream media want to say crazy things about Victor Osimhen. Now, one of the things that made me decide that I was going to do this video was the young chap, because a young chap, he's a kid anyways, what he said on Sky Sports, there was a phrase he used to this effect, that he, now speaking as him, that I have watched Victor Osimhen. Now, when someone tells you, I have watched XYZ, that means the person trying to tell you, I have first-person knowledge, first-person insight about that player's ability, about that person. If someone talks about this channel and says, I watch Ugo Amadi Football Channel, I have watched that, I've watched Ugo on the channel, and I can say he doesn't quite speak very good English on the channel. Now, if you haven't watched this channel, you probably say, yeah, for this person to say he's watched this channel episode after episode, show after show, and Ugo doesn't quite speak good English on the channel. If you haven't watched the channel, what would your opinion be? Then what's the point? His English isn't quite good, so there's no point to watch the channel. Now, if you're someone who's watched this channel, how would you feel? You would say, come on now, I think you're getting it wrong, or you're just coming out flat and lying to everyone, or your IQ is low. So the same thing applies. Now, that young man, I don't know who he is, I don't know his name, because in this era, if you call out someone's name, or cloud chasing, I don't care who he is. But because it goes beyond him, so to come up and say you've watched Victor Osimhen and all he does is score goals. When he was to be signed by Chelsea, they said all he does is head. He can't finish with his foot, he can't link up play, all he does is head balls, limiting his ability. Now, there was a YouTube compilation I was watching on the YouTube channel on Victor Osimhen. Now, this person supposedly is meant to be someone who's fair and he's just analyzing players. So what did he say on the video I was watching? He was narrating while the video clips were playing. He said, oh, Victor Osimhen, he's this, he's that, the way he plays with aggression, and all that, but he lacks variation in his finishes. Trying to allude that Victor Osimhen doesn't, have variation, doesn't have a variety of ways to finish, and he was also pointing to whatever he would have thought to be fact, that Victor Osimhen, probably only would smash, a shot at the goalkeeper and hope the goalkeeper, gets out of the way, or the shot is too hot for the goalkeeper. But while he was talking, while he was narrating, and the video was playing, in less than 3 clips, a clip showed Victor Osimhen chip the goalkeeper. Delightful chip. Delightful chip. Delightful chip. So what I'm saying is, and why does this happen? This happened to reduce the value of players, reduce the value of African players. And in a different video I'll tell you how this affects dual nationality players. I'll tell you how it affects them. But for now, why this attack happens? It happens because, one, people feel like European commentary, European TV channel, European pundits, European whatever they say, right, you don't fight it, it's correct. And in many instances, even some Nigerian people that watch Victor Osimhen on a daily You watch him, you root for him, you see him score goals that make you lose your mind as a Nigerian football fan. Some Nigerian football fans still agree with those so-called pundits and say, yeah, they're right. Oh, they're right. You don't believe your own eyes? So that's one reason. It happens because you tend to reduce the value of players. Now, Liam Delap is being compared to Diego Costa. Yeah, Liam Delap. First top flight season, he's being put in the same conversation as a great Premier League striker like Diego Costa. And then the second part of it is that over the years, the opinion from certain stations, certain mainstream media is always taken as golden, it's always taken as gospel, and people readily believe what they say. Now, one thing about me and about this channel is I like you to disagree with me if you can. I like you to have different opinion from me. So if someone is talking about Victor Osimhen and says, I don't think Victor Osimhen is the kind of striker I want for my team, I want for my club, fine. But when you go and start attacking the player's ability, when you go and start giving your opinion some value by saying, I watch this Victor Osimhen, I have been watching him for years, and you say something as daft as that, it's just like me saying, I watch Victor Osimhen, I watch David Beckham, I've watched David Beckham all through his career. His crosses were just so poor. Wouldn't you think I was stupid? Or wouldn't you think that I probably don't understand football? If I come to tell you, Thierry Henry, I watched his career, I watched him. But he just wasn't fast enough. He wasn't quick. He was a very slow, slow-paced striker. Wouldn't you think I had an agenda? Wouldn't you think I was losing my mind? Or wouldn't you think I probably, no, I'm not the most intelligent person you've ever seen? Wouldn't you think that? And these are the things you see happen every day. And these are the people that come up with their chests, puff their chest out, and drop those opinions. And a lot of people run with it. A lot of people run with it. These things happen and it devalues the player. And the last point I'll make before I leave this video, if I end the video, is this. It goes beyond Victor Osimhen. Because if your best player, because Victor Osimhen is Nigeria's best player, if your best player can be devalued, what do you think would happen to the Shola Ogundonas of the world, of the worlds? What do you think will happen to? How do you think people will rate Arik Parabo? How do you think Inu Adedeji would think about playing for Nigeria? Because you see it as, we don't have that much quality player there. So, how do you think people then rate your Samuel Chukwueze? If your best player can be so diminished, even with all the evidence there for people to see, you watch him daily, you watch him in Europa League, you watch him play for Galatasaray, you watch him play for the Nigerian Super Eagles, you can see it with your eyes. And as someone like that, I don't want to throw any sort of insults at anybody, but if as an individual you work for a TV, a sports channel, and you claim to watch this player, and you can come up with such silly, lopsided take of a superstar player, then you can imagine what you say about a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old that's not yet caught his teeth, maybe playing in grassroots, or maybe playing in the academy somewhere. So that's why the attack comes in, because it's beyond playing on the pitch. And finally, I'll say this, that is why this channel is here. I'll talk about Chelsea all day. I'll talk about Nigeria all day. I'll talk about the Nigerian Super Eagles all day. I'll talk about dual nationals that can switch to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles every day, and even twice on Sunday. But one thing I will always do, I will never let any negative, lopsided opinion fly without challenging it. I will never let it happen because people say things, no challenge. And sometimes some Nigerian content creators, YouTube channels and whatever, they just follow what these supposed channels do so that they can get the views, the likes, the clicks because that's what's trending. For me, I would love this channel, don't get me wrong. I'd love this channel to get up to 5 million, subscribers, 25 million subscribers, each video I post, 2 million views. I would love it. But I will always say this. A Nigerian player, I'm not saying better than everyone else, but you have to be fair. You have to be fair. Whether you're talking about Harry Kane, you be objective. Talking about Victor Osimhen, you should also be objective. So at this point, I've come to the end of this video, and I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well and stay blessed.